Hello, welcome to my channel, Jersey Shore Pondscapes Videos. My name is Chris, and today we are doing a video about a common question that I get, especially in the early part of the spring, and that is, what is all this foam on top of my pond? Where is it coming from? How do I get rid of it? So that's what we're going to talk about here today, and hopefully give you a little more insight of why you have that foam and help you to eliminate it. So basically, we have several different reasons why we get foam on the top of our pond. First of all, if you have a larger koi or a lot of goldfish, when they lay their eggs, you will see a lot of foam on the surface of the pond, especially with big, large koi. The giveaway to let you know that that foam is because they're laying eggs is basically you're going to smell it. All right, you're going to have a really strong fishy smell, outside of your pond here. And if you look closely enough at some of the rocks and plants and stuff around your pond, you will probably see a whole bunch of little tiny eggs all over them. This can become a pretty violent event in koi. You'll see them splashing around, chasing each other around the pond. They rip up plants. It actually does get pretty aggressive. So that's kind of easy to see, all right, and decipher what's going on and why you have all this foam in your pond. But we're going to be talking more about what we find early in the spring, mostly upon like startup of your pond. So let's jump into that. So foam can be caused by a bunch of different factors. Most often it is basically a buildup of organic waste or just organics in the water, organic molecules in the water that when combined with oxygen molecules stick together and float to the top, causing your foam. So basically what we find is if you shut your ponds off over the winter, okay, there could be a buildup of organics in the pond during that time. And as those organics build up in the water column, when you turn your ponds back on, say you have a waterfall or a stream or something running back to the pond, and we're aerating that water, we're putting oxygen, splashing oxygen into the water, the organic molecules stick to the oxygen bubbles, and that causes them to rise and get foam, cause the foam on the surface of the pond. So that is really, really common. So it's actually very similar to a process called protein skimming that we have for like saltwater fish tanks or reef tanks, whereas you actually buy a protein skimmer, which is sometimes a pretty large cylindrical filter, where basically we pump water in one way and we pump air in the opposite direction, and what happens is on the top of this cylinder there's a cup that's removable where you get this frothy foam that we need to clean. So basically the same thing is happening in that, okay? We're pumping oxygen into a column of water, and the organic molecules stick to the oxygen molecules and float up to the surface in this collection cup. So in a pond, we don't always have a collection cup, okay, that we can just take out and clean. And we're also dealing with, many hundreds, if not thousands of gallons of water as opposed to, a fish tank. So the process becomes a much bigger. But it's basically the same effect that's occurring. So what we need to do is to get our filter systems all up and running again and do water changes. Okay, each time we can do a water change, we are flushing out a lot of organics and putting fresh water back in. So that's really the best solution that I can think of, that I can tell you, to eliminate that foam. There are chemical defoaming products that you can buy in the store and put them in. But basically what that does, I believe, is they put like a little film on the surface of the pond to help to deter these bubbles from accumulating. But it doesn't really solve the problem of the organics that are in the water to begin with. So while I do see that some of these products work for a while, right, the foam will eventually come back because the organics are still in the water. So doing a number of water changes, some big water changes, can really help and eliminate that organic buildup in the water, and thus eliminate your foam on the surface. All right, so that is definitely a big cause of it, right? Organics can be built up from any kind of waste in the pond, algae dying off, okay, leaves rotting, decaying in the pond, fish waste, excess fish food, things like this, okay, that can, algae that can create this buildup of organics, all right? So keeping your pond clean and doing some water changes are the best way to resolve this issue. Now, we also can get foam from pollen. Okay, in the early spring, sometimes we have a lot of pollen. Sometimes, my truck turns all yellow outside. Well, all those little dusty particles, float on the surface of the pond. That too will stick to any oxygen molecules and bubbles, right, coming down from your waterfall and stuff as well. The difference is with the pollen is it usually has a little bit of a yellowy tint to it, whereas the organic foam is more white. But very similar, it still can cause some foam on the surface. The other thing that I find that causes a lot of foam is when I go to somebody's house and their water is very green. It's like, pea soup green. And we install a UV sterilizer to clear the pond. A lot of times as the green water is passing through this UV sterilizer, the UV sterilizer is basically kind of killing off the algae cells. And those algae cells, all those dead algae cells, end up as organic waste in the pond, and that too can cause foam. I've just experienced that a lot, that whenever I have a really green pond and I put a UV light on it, as it's clearing the water, I get foam. Okay? Eventually it dissipates and disappears, but again, the best thing to do is to keep your filters clean, right? So all that accumulating waste in your filter gets removed, and doing some water changes to help reduce the amount of organic molecules in the water as well. All right, so that's basically it, right? We got fish laying their eggs. We have organic buildup from over the winter from any kind of rotting debris, algae, leaves, fish waste, excess fish food, stuff like that. We also get pollen, and it could either be a UV light killing algae as well. That can cause some foam. So some things to think about. It's just something I wanted to talk to you about and explain, because I get the question a lot, what is all this foam here? So this is what it is, and basically how to get rid of it. Now, I have a ton of videos here on this channel for you guys to check out. If this video helped you out a little bit, that's awesome, but I have videos on all kinds of topics, from construction to filtration systems and UV lights and feeding your fish and different types of fish and bottom drains and gravity fed filter systems and all kinds of stuff like that. So all water plants and waterfalls, the whole bit. So please check out the videos. There's a ton of stuff here for you guys, and hopefully you'll find something that can interest you and help you out a little bit. So thank you for watching, and hopefully we'll see you back in another video real soon. Take care. Bye.